Okay. I was one of those latchkey kids growing up because my parents, didn't get home till like in the evening. So I always had to go and let myself in and do certain things like take care of the dogs. And one day I was probably like freshman, sophomore year in high school. And I come home, do my regular thing, let the dogs out. We have two dogs. Only one of them comes in. My dog Grace. I don't see my other one, Sunny. And I'm like, what? Because they normally are like crazy ready to go in. And I go outside and I'm standing there and I'm listening and I hear all this crying, like dog crying, and it's coming from below me. And then I realized that my dog had dug under the deck, the wooden deck we have, and had gotten stuck. And I see that he had dug a hole on one side to get himself in, but he had crawled to the other side and could not figure out the way he had come in. And so he's trying to get out the way he cannot fit, and he's crying and crying. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, he's probably broken something while he's down there. He's kind of older. And so I start flipping out. And I'm like crying hysterically. I call my dad, and he's like, well, what do you want me to do? I'm not here. Deal with it. Deal with it, because that's just how my dad is. And so I'm crying, and the dog's crying, and I'm talking to him through the deck, like, it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna get you. So I just decided, fuck it. I go to my dad's shed and I find the biggest sledgehammer he has, and I just start wailing on the deck with the hammer, and I'm like crying still. I'm beating the wooden beams in. I'm talking to the dog, and it's just like, and then as I'm finally like breaking the beams down and kind of ripping them apart, I noticed that the crying stopped. I'm still crying, but I notice I don't hear my dog crying anymore. And I'm just like sitting there, and then I hear this. I literally turn around, and my dog is sitting right behind me, covered in just muck and shit and whatever is under the deck, and just watching me, like, rip my deck apart. I was just, like, the relief, and then just be like, you little shithead, you little shithead. And I got in so much trouble for fucking up the deck. And I had no even proof because the dog was fine. And it was one of those stories I really like to remember about my dog because I'm an only child, and my parents called my pets, my dogs, my brother and sister, and they were members of the family, and we had to put him down a couple years. And I just like to remember that story just because that's who he was, just that dog that just made us run through hoops and stuff, but he was so lovable, and I try to remember that because, it was really sad towards the end. He got really old, and it's good to think about the better things. And that's always one of my favorite stories. Yeah.
Tell me about how old were you when you put them to sleep?
It was like 2 years ago. I was here, and I'm almost glad that I wasn't there when they finally did it. I wasn't surprised because he had trouble walking, and he had this deep raspy like breath that sounded like there was fluid in it, and it was just painful to be around him because he wasn't himself anymore, and it was really hard to see because he was like my brother. That's what we called him. And I just remember my dad calling me, and I didn't know anything was wrong, so I'm just talking to him like, hey, what's up? And then Dad's just like, I put Sunny down today. And it's so weird, like, it's a dog, but how much it means to you, and how I just felt like everything stopped. And then I asked my dad, well, are you okay? And then my dad starts crying, and I've only seen my dad cry one time before then when another dog of ours died, and it was really hard. I mean, I loved him so much, and he was like my brother, and it's still something that's fresh, and but it's not. We have his little urn at home. We kept him, so every time I go home, it's like I always say hi to him, and we have a little shrine of tennis balls because he loved playing ball. So yeah.